Hello. Welcome everybody who came today. This is Shannon Winters with Changing Lives Counseling. We host also a coaching program. We also have a ketamine assisted psychotherapy program. Today, Changing Lives Counseling and Shannon Winters, counselor, is going to present emotional regulation when life feels overwhelming. But in the meantime, I want us to meet each person who is here at this table today. So I'm Shannon Winters, counselor.
Okay. Brian McGregor. I've been a client of Shannon probably for about 7 years or so. And I've been a client. I've done the ketamine assisted therapy, all the cognitive behavioral stuff, and I just come here on the weekends because I like to be connected, and it keeps me helps me integrate all the tools that I've been learning, and keeps me surrounded by people with similar and like minds. So it's good to be here.
What's
Thank
your
you.
profession?
Oh, my profession. uh, Aerospace quality engineer. I don't have a degree, but I'm a blue collar quality engineer. I started out of high school, or roughly out of high school, and I went to a vocational school in high school. And then I just found that that was my niche. So I work for a company. It's a subsidiary of GE Aerospace. And I'm a quality engineer for their manufacturing facility.
I am Deborah. I'm also a client of Shannon. Very blessed to have met this woman for so many reasons. But I'm in the IT field looking for a big change. And that, so here we go.
My name is Amanda McCoy. I'm a pharmacist, and I'm also on the board of Inside Out for Everyone for the women's health part of things. And I'm also a client, I guess, with Changing Lives Counseling. Shannon is my friend and my therapist. And I also participate in the ketamine assisted psychotherapy, and it's been amazing.
My name's Jody Stevenson. I am one of Shannon's younger sisters, the middle. And we actually live in Montana. And in Montana, my job is working for the state of Montana as a field license inspector. But I also have my coaching certification so that I can work with her business, and my mediation certification. And I am on the board for the Montana division. Thanks.
Inside Out for Everyone. Yay.
She's also my therapist.
As sisters often are, right?
Sisters always.
Yeah.
Some challenge there.
Yeah.
Sweetie. My name is Mike Stevenson. I am Jody Stevenson's husband. We've been married 33 years, almost 34. Involved with this family through some of the roughest patches, and you can't beat them. I mean, as far as Shannon goes, she's top notch. Love her to death. Wouldn't think of anybody else. I am retired Marine Corps and basically just loving life, using her services as a sister-in-law and as a counselor myself.
I'm Leanne Martin. I'm an attorney. I met Shannon a few months ago and was deeply impressed. I do family law and estate planning. And I'm also part of a group called Divorce Wise, where I and a financial planner will have classes to educate the public on the different paths to getting to a divorce decree. So let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about something that I needed to talk about today, which is some emotional regulation when life gets overwhelming. So we're in a different platform today because a couple days ago, the speaker that was going to teach today canceled, and I had to figure out something to do and was a little overwhelmed as I was thinking about what to do, and thought, well, I'm going to do something that's going to help myself. So here we are. Let's just go through and talk about some emotional regulation. Interact as you please. And I just want to open by saying a big, huge statement. And that is, a lot of times when we're overwhelmed, like we think we have a problem,
And we treat ourselves that way. And the way we think, our body acts that way. And what I want to be clear with today is it is not that stress is not bad. It's an alert. Our body and our mind react a certain way when we go into states of being overwhelmed or stressed. Overwhelm is not a sign of weakness. That's the point that I want to make here today, because when we get a little anxious and in our overwhelmed states, what's the first thing we think? What's wrong with me? Why can't I stop this? My head, I can't shut off my thinking. I'm not sleeping. And we hit those overwhelmed states, and our nervous system is being hijacked in those moments. And if we don't come back to our body and mind when those states happen and we stay in those cycles, we continue to feel really yucky. We continue to feel in our chest and in our throats and in our headaches, the stress and the overwhelm. So today we're going to talk about how to think about these things and what to do when they happen, when you feel overwhelmed, when you get that call, and now you've got to figure out what to do to fill in the gaps. So I made everybody a handout today so we can just kind of follow along together. The opening, you'll see, I just kind of did my own version of that. Today, we're talking about something every human experiences. We all have this stress response when a certain stress hits, this overwhelm. It's not just stress, but it's a kind of an emotional weight. And where do we feel it? Do any of you ever grab your chest when you're feeling that overwhelm? Grab our stomach?
Diaphragm.
My diaphragm, a lot of times it is between your chest and your diaphragm where you're going to feel stress and overwhelm. Thoughts racing. What happens when your thoughts are racing? Your body's shutting down. It doesn't keep up. It's following your thought processes. It's acting like what you're thinking, and you'll have physical symptoms. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But if we move on, overwhelm is not a sign of weakness. And many people, I have a current 80-year-old male who just started with severe anxiety a month ago when he had his 80th birthday. Mm-hmm. And he has a huge fear of death as he's going through his living will and trust. Mm-hmm. And he cannot calm himself down. His doctors have put him on 3 different medications, which in my opinion as a therapist will make it worse. So seeing this real time and watching how the mind is just ruminating. I'm so anxious. I want to be where I was before. I want to walk through this. And he's clenching his chest as he's pacing. He can't even sit in my office. He's pacing back and forth. Clearly, not just his mind, but his body. I know because we're already a month into this on medications that I don't think are going to help just jack up it. They're just going to jack up his brain hormones, that I got to try to ground this dude, maybe even talk to his doctor about getting him off medication, things like that. But you're going to hear what my session was with him yesterday and how to normalize that experience in real time right now, because that dude needed relief before he left my office. He's already been in the hospital and had a horrible experience where they set him in a corner and just give him medication. So this is yesterday and it's really fresh. And then it adds to my overwhelm, right? Because now I'm deeply concerned for people who are my parents' age and feel out of control. Okay. So normalize the human experience. We've got to understand, and a lot of people don't understand this, that overwhelm comes with a biological response. What are the biological, biophysical things that I just said to you guys that this dude was having in my office yesterday? Did you hear it?
Yeah, the pacing. So he's the constant need to move.
Yes.
Yeah. And how about his heart rate and his blood pressure and his oxygen saturation and everything that comes with that? Shallow breathing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the rooming going through his head. and you get dizzy and you get spun out. I use the word spun out or spiraling. Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah. Now, for a gentleman in his age, and I'm being candid here, some of my challenge with that is developing new patterns. Okay, I have patterns that suck. Okay, I got patterns. I like to use alcohol. I like to use drugs. I overtrain in the gym. I do things that help me with that. How does a gentleman like that, who's managed to sake it reasonably healthy mind until he's 80 years old, and now at least, I mean, I'm grateful that he's not self medicating or being detrimental to his own health, but I'm looking at it because I got another 20 years to experience what this man is going to experience, and I'm trying to learn today, and I'd be interested in seeing how you guys did, honestly.
Yeah. Any other biophysical comments and how that sounds like it manifested? It's definitely the pacing, chest, the chest, and then the feeling it in the chest. Definitely. The nervous system. It has two modes. It's either in survival, white knuckling, or it's connection. It's co-regulating. It's grounding. It's using tones that don't escalate situations, more flatter tones. A lot of people don't know that's probably my biggest technique. And even if you see me stressed out and incredibly overwhelmed, like my brother-in-law and sister may see with my husband at times, I am still talking like this to try and keep the communication engaged. Trying not to escalate like this because then he runs for the hills. So when the nervous system goes into survival mode, being able to keep yourself grounded with your tones it's a first responder technique. That's what first responders do. EMT fire dudes, when they show up, if they sounded excitable like everybody else was, we're all going to stay jacked up and in a state of stress and anxiety. But if they can talk to us and ground and use the flat voice and still see and talk to people, they can bring the situation down, usually by 30 or 40% just doing that. Okay, so when life piles up and you feel it in your body and your body shifts into survival, which is fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Some people, fawn is a newer response that we're talking about. And that is, I call it the people pleasing. Yeah. My husband, my brother-in-law, who you just met, they go into that when they're in stress mode. Like they want to help you right now, and they won't stop wanting to help you when they are stressed out. That's fawn. That's what the fawn response is. So if you don't know where you're at on the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, think of yourself in the last conflict and what do you do? Are you fighting? That's what I do. Yeah. That's what I do. When I get to that point, I'm probably fighting verbally, still with the same tone, ironically. I've been trained and learned how to keep my tone, but I will go into verbal abuse, for lack of better terms, and slam people into walls intellectually. I fight, and not very fair because of what I know. Right there with you.
So I'm curious though. I know about the abusive language and the denigrating talk when I can't get it from somebody. But I'm challenged right now with the fawning is because I know that there's a root to my fawning, and I know I'm putting an unnecessary burden on somebody, but it's to make me feel safe again. Is because I know that I've dysregulated. And what's caused the gap is my dysregulation. And I need them to, I desire to know that they understand that there's a difference between when I'm dysregulating and when I'm actually in a connection and that I'm making statements. And so with my daughter in particular, I fawn sometimes because it's a sign that I haven't destroyed the safety and the relationship, and hoping that she understands that it's done because she doesn't understand. Let me just rephrase that. But I'm learning to understand that I act out like that because I feel unsafe, and their love and their connection makes me feel safe. And when I don't get it back, it's tough for me. And I'm learning other ways to deal with it.
Excellent description of fawning. Excellent. Anybody else know what their response is and want to share what that looks like when you go into conflict? What does your body do? What does your mind do? Are you fleeing? Are you running for the hills? Coming out with your dukes up? You trying to make sure the other person stays engaged? You frozen?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
There.
Yeah, I absolutely come out fighting. And I used to be really bad about this. Really, really bad about this. But now it's kind of come to the thing of we all just have different opinions, and that's okay. And people don't have to like me. People don't have to agree with me. You know, you can still have a different opinion and still like somebody. That's I would say been a big challenge in the last 10 years because, like, for example, the politically, my family is very divided. We're all very divided. And so the conversation is, do we want to argue about stuff and like potentially have falling out? Or do we want to maybe just not talk about those things because everybody gets that? There's a lot of fighters in my family. So we do have some fawning. We do have some of that. And we have some people that would freeze or withdraw. But if we want to remain in good graces, or at least
Healthy relation.
yeah, some kind of do we want to be a family and still be able to talk in two family events? Yeah. But yeah, I would get that immediate feeling of just fire, you know, and just get real riled up. And yeah, working on that and recognizing that fight thing.
Excellent.
Very cool.
Excellent. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I'd like having a conversation with you guys because I'm learning that one of my other relationships is my employer. And, you know, you and I talked about my new job in 90 days, and there's been a big transition and a lot of integration taking place. And one of the things that I made most important to make as a boundary is that my role is a quality engineer. And I realize now, after doing it for so many years, that I reconcile conflict. I mean, I've been doing this my entire career, and it took me just recently to recognize what my role is and how I can integrate myself into it, you know, and it is to reconcile the conflict. I used to think it was about being right and being correct, and it's not. And I've recognized now with some time off to reflect when I had some time off from my surgery, and I used it very intentionally. And I used a lot of the study material and went through all of the cognitive stuff that we've talked about. I had a situation, I have some choices, and I had a desired outcome. It's not very difficult. Excuse me. It's very simple, but it's difficult to manifest into anything.
Yeah.
And so I recognized it. And I had an older gentleman the other day. I support him as a quality engineer. And he'd been there when I was there 20 years ago. And he's been there that time since I came back. And he says, look, you know, and I says, I get this. I've been at this type of career for a long time. And he goes, but I want to remind you, don't take it personal. And it just went off as like I'd already been sowing, you know, that for myself to say, hey, everybody's trying to do their best to do their job. And I can tell you, so and so is going to say something, and you're not, promise you, you're not going to like his delivery. And so don't take it personally. And so it's allowed me to realize that I'm entitled to take stuff personally, but it's how I respond to it is making the difference on how it happens and whether I'm successful or not in the relationship. Because I got to have a relationship with you regardless.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
And everybody thinks that they're right too. So it's like, well, maybe we are all right in some way, right? It's like,
But the reconciling the conflict is being right, the goal.
right.
You have to remember that.
Yes. Do we want to be right or do we want to have a
We
relationship?
want to be correct, or you know what I'm saying, or relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was well stated, Amanda. Do you
Yes,
want to
very
be
good.
right,
Well,
or do you
want a
want to have a
relationship.
good relationship?
There's a guy on the internet, and I'm just blanking on his name right now, but he's a lawyer and he does the selfies in the car. Do you guys know this guy?
Doesn't everyone do a selfie in the car?
Right?
I'll put it on here. Like I am Jefferson Fisher. I knew it was there somewhere. Jefferson Fisher, and he goes on there. He does like little blurbs about how to communicate, and he says, if your goal in the conversation is to be right, you're out. Like you're not going to get anywhere. The goal of your conversation should always be to connect. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
And it's so simple,
Yeah.
but so hard.
You got to.
He's amazing. You got to find him.
I will find.
Yeah, there's so much in my human that I got to get out of the way, or my natural inclinations.
Mm-hmm. Because we want to be right. It's like this tribal concept, and yeah.
So what I'm hearing is emotional regulation is not about calm down. Calm down.
That's the worst thing
It's
to say.
not that. That is the worst God to help the fighters when somebody says calm down. It is not a pleasant thing to hear. Calm down. And that it's about helping our bodies, guys. It's about helping our mind understand our bodies so we can catch it when it's trying to transition into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn states. It's making the body secure enough to know it's safe to come back here. Anxiety is a fear of things that have not happened. This is a fear of the future, a fear of death, but the fear comes from not knowing what's going to happen. Depression, those are situations that have happened to you that you relive in your mind and you think about, that when you're reliving them, they come back and they cause the sadness and all those things. But anxiety is not knowing what to expect. So how do you reconcile that? I like to talk about cognitive dissonance at this point and go, how do you reconcile your mind and heart not being aligned? They're both acting out. Your body's acting out, your mind's taken off. How do you reconcile that? That's what we're going to talk about. Like those are the steps. So let's talk about the core concepts, the 3 layers of emotional regulation. Layer 1, we just kind of talked about the body, the physiological regulation of your body. When the body is dysregulated, the mind follows. When your heart starts feeling tight and beating, what does your mind do? Oh my gosh, am I having a heart attack? What's happening? When the body is dysregulated, our minds follow. That's where the anxiety comes from. So some examples to calm the body, that's going to be your breathing. And people like me and my buddy here, we didn't believe much in the breathing for a period of time until our naturopath doctor, who is not here today, taught us that breathing is incredibly important, showed us the science behind it. My favorite breath to use since hearing about breath works and box breathing and all the breathing that helps calming. First off, I don't poo-poo or woo-woo that anymore. I am bought in, like I am a breather. I want to call it the parasympathetic sigh is my favorite breath, where it's just a long breath in. At the end of that long breath, it's a short breath and then a yawn. And we're going to make a little noise. And it literally changes the mitochondria in every cell and instantly can change and shift your anxiousness. It can bring it down at the very least. So let me just show you what that looks like. It's a deep breath in and a quick breath at the end, which shoots oxygen into your brain again, because the first thing we do when we get anxious, we stop breathing.
Short, shallow breath.
We do the short, shallow breaths. If that's why they used to give you the brown paper bag, is to regulate your breathing. So the sigh that I'm talking about goes like this. Take a deep breath in, short breath at the end, and then yawn it out. So breathe with me, starting now. Lighten your shoulders, maybe
so much.
like to shake things off, and then repeat 3 to 5 times. 3 to 5 times. I like because the mind follows the body. I like to incorporate putting in an intention in there. So when I go through that whole thing, I'm telling myself, I want a peaceful body. I want a peaceful body. I want a peaceful body. As I'm doing this sigh 3 to 5 times, that's my little chant that's going on in my head. Peaceful body, peaceful body. That's my intention of breathing that breath. I can do that in the middle of a session if I want to, and nobody would even know it. Relax the shoulders. Just shake it. Yep. Relax your jaws, your throat. That's the physiological regulation. Let's talk about the mind for a minute, because boy, when that mind kicks in, what happens? Who here catastrophizes when they come into anxiety? Who here comes all or nothing? That one's probably the one I'm closer to, is all or nothing. Like, we're either all in or we're all out. Future tripping. What if? What is that? What's going to happen? It's like the 80-year-old I've been talking about. He is future tripping. What's going to happen when I die? Where am I going to go when I'm going to die? And his faith and different things all play into that. And if we don't speak into that when we're talking about where he's at and what he's anxious to, as I told this nice gentleman, you're unresolved. Like, until you resolve this in your head, you're going to stay in anxious states. Like, what do you believe? Like, and I'm walking through getting him to a point of understanding what's going to happen when he dies. Worst case scenario. That's how I said it to him. You're going to talk about the worst case scenario. If you die, what's going to happen? And especially in communities like this, like, I want us to be able to have those conversations. We're going to be 80 someday, wondering the same things. And we should be talking about this stuff now and helping each other, regardless of where we are on the journey. Help each other reconcile those things. How do we do that? Like this,
I have
by
a question
talking
about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really weird to like for myself. This feels very strange.
Can my fingers?
Right. So I have a question about that. For me, it helps me to do worst case scenario. I don't spiral in, like, if I start to spiral, I will sit and do a worst case scenario. Like, what is the worst thing that could happen? To kind of get a bearing on how, like, what is this problem? What is this problem? How much do I need to worry about this? Like, what's the worst thing that could actually really happen? That helps me, but I know that doesn't help everyone. So some people, they will like latch onto that. And then they're like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. But for me, that helps relieve my mind of like, okay, well, that's the worst thing that could happen. But let's work back from there.
Absolutely.
Like, how do we prevent that? So how do you kind of take that concept and work with different people? Because like it works for me, but not going to work for everybody.
I go for the bottom, the worst case scenario, like you're saying. And I do well with that concept too. Like, I got to know the worst case and what I'm going to do in that case. I'm also a backup plan. If this doesn't work, I'm going to know what my backup plan is. And the way I would talk about that is, it's still my style. Like, it's still even a theory, worst case scenario that we can use clinically with people. And And even if they're not well adjusted in those situations, what I go for is what we were talking earlier. I'm trying to help him to connect with his own thoughts and be aware of his own thinking. Whether he's going to tolerate worst case scenario, that's not even a thought in my head. You have to know what you're going to do in that situation if you're going to come out of that.
Right. So you have to address it no matter what.
Yes, I press it no matter what. And you're right. I will have people who get that hyper focus. The way I talked to this person about that yesterday was, you are 80 years old. You are in a box. And right now your anxiety is stuck in this box and you can't get out of it. And you're feeling all these things. And I named the things that I was writing down that he was feeling and thinking. You're naming all these things. If you stay in this box thinking that way, how are you going to feel that way? I'm trying to push a little wall down and go, let's walk through this. Let's do something a little differently. What do you think? How do you feel? Here's an example. I actually worked on intentions with this man in real time to make the connection. So to find out he was a faith-based person, that he was referred to me by a pastor out in his community. What I did, being a faith-based person myself, is I just used an intention for this. So my favorite is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. What is he doing in this moment when he's anxious?
Not trusting, yeah.
Not trusting anything, including himself.
Yeah.
So trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding.
Yeah.
In all your ways, acknowledge him and he'll set your path straight. Right. So that was very grounding for him. And he started to get it. He's also a hiker like I am. So another way to try to get him to connect was, I told him, if I go out to the hardest hike in the valley, which is flat ice, and I stand there and I'm like, there is no way in hell I am going to make it up that mountain. That is way too far. It's way too high. I've heard it's hard. How am I going to do on that hike? Now, if I go out to that mountain and go, this is a beautiful mountain, there's going to be rock climbing. I have to be careful. When I get to the top of that mountain, I'm going to get the most incredible views of my life of the valley. Now, how am I going to do on that hike? He connected with that instantly with that one. His wife was connecting with that one too, going, yeah, you need to change the way you're thinking about it. Yeah. That is part of the process with the thinking, is breaking off the thinking. And it's super hard to do when we're anxious.
And that whole thing of like, how do you eat an elephant?
Exactly.
One bite at a time.
Oh my
Just take one little step at a time. That got me through pharmacy school, I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I was like, stack of books. I'm like, how am I going to read all of them? Yeah. How am I going to get in this into my head? Like, well, one page at a time.
Amanda, I'd like to share a little bit about what you had mentioned for myself, and I like that Shannon has added this, talking about evidence-based therapy. And for me, when I met Shannon, there was a huge crisis in my life. I'd lost my brother to suicide. Prior to meeting Shannon, I'd had a lot of crises in my life. This was when I was 51. Okay, so but what had happened is, along the way, I shared my testimony up till the time I met Shannon. And it was a lot of hardship and a lot of struggles and a lot of fear and a lot of things I was worried about, and I didn't know what I would do. And as the years went by, sharing my testimony about those experiences, and then over the years being with Shannon, as those hardships continued, what I began to rely on is something that has become more and more evident is, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. Okay. And so what had happened for me is that I had to continue to believe that God was. And when I had the opportunity to start observing what was actually happening around me, I'd lost my job and I'd been unemployed for months, but I got a new job, and I got a new job with more money. Every time I had experienced hardship along the way, yeah, you know what? I fucking tweaked out and yacked out and spiraled out of control about everything while he was still being God. I was spinning around and losing my mind and falling and falling and falling and believing that there was nothing going to save me. Not only was I saved, but I had more than when I started with, which is beyond my comprehension. And recently, within 6 months ago, similar situation. I tried to go and I decided to take a back surgery after I'd been struggling with it for since my brother's suicide and as long as I knew it. And I finally broke down and I got back surgery. And I was terrified of the consequences of not having a job. And they did exactly what I was afraid of because I saw all the evidence that it was going to happen again. And I should be afraid. I've not been afraid ever since because God went in advance and took care of that shit before I got fired, which is cracking me up. Is that the new job I've got is 35% raise and they're respecting me and I'm trusted and I'm valued. Meanwhile, I don't cry and I don't fret about shit when it happens anymore because evidence-based, I have enough evidence to know that I can trust in God. And up until now, I've not been able to do anything else that keeps me at peace. My other, what was the patterns of substance and other people and pleasing, well, they don't work anymore. But now that I've recognized that in those moments that, hey, what has he done when world comes at you and slaughters you? He stands you up and he stands you up a little bit higher. If you just let me be your God of fear.
Excellent. Faith-based description. That was good. Thank you. Yeah. Well, layer three of this is the heart, the meaning, and the emotion. This is, I'd almost like to think about it in a cognitive dissonance way. This is where we got to get our heart and our mind aligned in agreement to come out of our anxious thoughts. So this is definitely something that most people skip. They don't analyze it to the point of understanding themselves and being aware of what's going on in their body. Most people don't do this, even professionals. This is where we ask a few things. What is the emotion telling me? What's it telling me? Where is it? What just happened? What's it telling me? If we can grab that when it's first rolling out, we'll be able to work through it and we won't get stuck in the loops. What's needed underneath this reaction? What need, I should say, what need is under this reaction? Can we find the need? What do I need? Do I need to feel connected? My big one is I need to feel understood. And that's what I go for in communication when I'm talking to anybody is I don't think you understand. Let me try again because I need to feel understood. I think most people do before I can move on away from it. Or I think you don't know me, you don't understand me, and all those things, and I'll lose my mind. I don't want to talk to you anymore, right? Or you're putting words in my mouth and you don't understand me the way I understand me, and I don't like that either, right? So let's head over into a simple little 4-step reset, and let's network through this. Let's practice through this 4-step reset. The first step is my favorite step, and you're going to see why here on your own sheets that I made. Naming what is happening. In psychology, we may also call that becoming aware of how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. When you can name what's happening to you, hey, that tone in your voice tells me that you're frustrated or angry or something at me. What is that? When you can name that, you can get to the problem and you can work through it. If you can't name it, it stays there. It's going to become part of a cycle. It's going to revisit until you can identify what it is and say what it is. Definitely your mind and body have to be able to know that. So naming what's happening. Anybody understand that one or want to speak into that one? Because naming, honestly, it does reduce the anxiousness, the anxiety by 30 to 40%. Just knowing what's going on with you and why, it will relieve some of that stress. So naming what's happening. Does anybody practice that?
Mhm.
Are we doing those things? Naming it. Do we do that in our partnerships, in our relationships with our people we live with? It doesn't even have to be a spouse. It could be our kids. It could be our girlfriends or boyfriends. But are we doing that with the people we live with, that we spend the most time with? They're the ones that need it the most. They're the ones that need to hear, this is what's on my heart or mind that I need to talk through. Naming it. I'll
think,
move that.
I think sometimes it's really helpful to use the naming for what am I really mad about?
Seriously?
Like, especially when it comes to relationships or maybe at work. What am I actually upset about? That's been really helpful to me. Like, am I angry? Am I frustrated? Am I just tired? Am I exhausted? That's been really, really helpful for me. Of going, hey, yeah, I'm frustrated and I'm angry, but it's because I'm frustrated. And I'm frustrated. Why am I frustrated? Because I'm feeling like maybe I'm doing more work than somebody else, or and that could apply to lots of different things. It's like trying to figure out the naming. Sometimes it goes down a little bit, or you go backward.
Yeah.
That's been really helpful.
Sometimes you have to backtrack and figure out what it is your body's holding on. Because, like for me, if I'm in a session and I can't stop and go through my own reset, then it's going to build up, right? And when's it going to come back? By the time I remember what that thing is, naming becomes more difficult the longer you leave it. So, and it takes a different shape. I've been talking about silent anger recently, where, again, unfortunately, that's my way because I like to protect people and keep them from my anger. So I will stuff my anger right inside my chest. And by the time I get back to it, whether it's with my husband or one of my kids or my grandkids, it looks a little different and it's harder to talk about. And they feel differently about it. So they're not going to connect with it as much. It's harder to name things the longer you wait. So even if all you can do is in your head, man, I need to come back to this because that made me angry and this is wrong.
Do you create your own narrative later on, you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Definitely. Okay. So the naming, the other part is the body. And we can speak into this too. Anchor the body. We got to name what happens. And then we got to realize where it is in our body and anchor. And one of the best things we can do is literally sit up straight and put both feet on the ground. Sit up straight and put both feet on the ground. Place a hand. This is huge for me, guys. I place a hand on my chest and I have an intention when I do that. Care for this. I've been on a peaceful body thing. So every intention I'm doing relates to peaceful body, relaxed states, because that's how I deal with my overwhelm. When I'm overwhelmed, that's what I want. I want peace again. So I definitely put my hand on my chest and ground myself. Lengthen your exhale. I demonstrated that earlier. It's the long inhale, short inhale at the end of that long breath, and then a yawn out. Dropping your shoulders. Talked about that earlier too. Just relaxing your shoulders and maybe even shaking it out a little bit. Those are the ways we deal with our body. Any comments on that? Does anybody want to talk about what they do with their body when they're anxious and need to calm and come to a relaxed state, come back to your body?
There's a reason that Taylor Swift has a song called Shake It Off.
Seriously. That would be a good song to use for that. Shake It Off. Yeah, seriously. With her cute little voice in the background. Yeah. We treat, as you're hearing, we treat the mind and we treat the body differently in order to get them back to regulation. We need different tools for our mind when it goes out in left field than we do for our body. So we gotta think about both. We gotta think about both. I put some on step 3. I put some questions here that help us be kind to ourselves, because a lot of times when we're in those anxious states, we also get a little critical of ourselves. I'm a counselor. How the hell am I anxious right now? I know better. I understand myself. I know what to do. And I will go into those self-critical loops. I think intellectual people overall do that. So probably everybody at this table has a little bit of that problem. The self-critical. So what I try to do is come back to ask one compassionate question at least, to be nice to myself is the way I follow it in my head. I need to say something nice to myself. What do I need in this moment? My needs are not bad. See, I like to protect people from my needs. I like to mediate by keeping my needs to myself. One of the best things I can ask to myself as somebody who pours out into other people is, what do I need right now? What do I need? Most of you at this table also know that my biggest need is on the co-regulation side. I'm a hugger, and I can assure you that my hugging you is not just about my hugging you. It is about regulating myself also into the situation. So when I say I'm a hugger, honestly, that's why. I'm others motivated and I co-regulate beautifully. I like to say, point out part of my testimony is my husband's had a stroke. So he's got left side paralysis. He can't hug anymore. So I don't get that grounding unless I'm with my buddy or my brother-in-law that can give me that grounding and that hugging. I've had to think through. That's also, to be honest, one of the reasons why I will put my hand over my heart, or if I'm in bed, I will tickle my shoulder or hug myself just to co-regulate myself or ground myself. When I'm with you all, I like the hugs. I take that energy, it fills me up, and it makes me feel better. I need co-regulation. That's a huge thing. So what would help my body feel 5% safer right now? Even if it's 80-year-old dude, before he's leaving my office, he's hugging me. I'm not asking for a hug. He's hugging me. And I'm going, this is co-regulation. This is why having others help you carry is important. Because and then he grabs my hand and I go, this is also co-regulation. This is security. This is us showing each other that we're safe. You need to do these things with your wife as you're leaving here. Hug, hold hands, stand on both feet. But we have to also get the intention there for the mind to break up those ruminations that are taking you into these spins. We have to do something different with both. So,
Funny story about that one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the 8-second hug that we talked about in prior presentations, I've really been trying to do the 8-second hug, and it is incredible.
It is.
And even if you don't count to 8, because as Dr. Boyer was saying, you can't just hug and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't work that way, because people do that sometimes, right? if to hug, and she said you hug until you feel the letdown, like the relax.
The shoulder
And
relax.
yeah, and you can really actually feel it. So I needed one of those regulating hugs yesterday. And my husband walked by and I tried to give him a hug, and then he kind of tried to pull away, and I just latched on, and then you kind of hug a little bit, and then he would just try to move away again. But I didn't say anything because he knows about the 8-second hug. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to hang on until you get with the program. And he did. And he was like, okay, I guess I'm not going anywhere until I do it right. So then we did the hug, and then I could feel him relax. I could feel, it wasn't just me. I could feel him relax. And there was that moment. And we had just such a much better weekend because of it. So I can totally speak to that.
And thank you for applying that to marriage and relationship.
Right.
Because it truly does work for both people. That's my point, man. And all you people are people that know me, that I know, that we've been very comfortable with. And I love those hugs. When I see Amanda today as she's walking in, or Deb or Brian, I'm excited for that because I know I get to co-regulate. I get that 8-second hug. I get that security. Huge. It means a lot to some of us. So ask a compassionate question. When your head's flying off the rails, ask yourself, what do I need? Do I need to go to Amanda's house and get a hug from a friend? What do I need? Do I need to have a hard conversation and tell somebody what I need because I usually don't? What do I need? Be nice to ourselves. Step 4 is this is back to the body. Take one small action. Even drinking a glass of water brings you back to present. It puts you right back where you're at, in your feet, drinking water. Step outside. I'm a huge step into the sun. You get natural red light in the sun, and have an intention. Yes. This is going to make me feel so much better. I say that often. I love the sun. I love the desert. That is one of my coping skills, is even if I'm sitting out in the sun at Saguaro Man, I am feeling relaxed. I am fit. And I also do this thing when I sit in the sun, I'm detoxing. Like, it's okay to sweat. I'm not one of those girls who are like, ooh, I'm sweating. No, no. I'm detoxing. I'm sitting in the sun, hopefully sweating like a pig, letting out all the toxins, because then I'm going to go in and take a cold shower and help my stress even more. That's a big one too. Sitting in the sun. Text somebody. Just text somebody and go, man, I'm a little anxious right now. I just want somebody to tell me it's okay. Like, you're okay.
Yeah. We did the elements thing one time. We talked about that. Like, if you're not sure what to do, bring in the earth, fire, wind, water. So like earth, take your shoes off, step on the grass. Fire's like light a candle with intention.
Yes.
So wind was, I think, what was wind? Oh, breath.
Yeah, the breath works. Yeah.
You can different things, but water was like take a shower, take a bath, go in the pool, take a drink of water.
Yes, use the elements to ground yourself. That is very, very true.
It's like a cheat sheet.
It is. It is. I like it. The take a pause. That's another one that I do. Sometimes I just literally, like, I'm hitting a pause button and I'm telling myself, pause, girlfriend. Take a minute to think about this, breathe, just pause. Just pause. Stretch. Goodness gracious. How good does a good stretch feel? I take a bath every morning with Epsom salt. That's where I do my stretching. I even use the Epsom salt and rub my feet and my legs, my arms. That bath is stretching, and I'm using the Epsom salt as an anti-inflammatory, making it even better. Love my bath stretches. Slow your breathing. We've talked a bunch about that. That's one that you can do real time wherever you're at, whether you're in the airport and you're like I am, and we don't like to be in those big social crowds and it's overstimulus. Take a breath. Just breathe. Bring yourself back to your body. That's the 4-step reset. Does anybody want to speak into that before we move into just a little what we can do in our mini practices as tools that we're going to leave with today? Any comments on this 4-step reset? Let me just walk through them again. Step 1, name what's happening. Step 2, anchor your body. It's different than naming what's happening. Step 3, ask one compassionate question of yourself. Be nice to yourself. Get out of your critical, condemning head and ask something nice. What do I need right now? Do I need a warm bath? Do I need a nap? What do I need? Need to talk?
Mm-hmm.
Step 4, take one small action. There's your grounding again. It's doing something to put you in your present again. Those are the 4 steps. How do you feel about these? Thoughts on this? Anybody practice this like this or have something similar?
For me, I know that I have to remember to identify what's happening. I practice my breathing skills for sure. The is the one we called it, isn't it? I'm trying to remember what
Parasympathetic.
parasympathetic. That was the word. I use that one a lot. I'll use it throughout the day. I use it in meetings. I use it in the drive-in to work just to pace myself. I'm listening to the news on the radio, and it starts to become a little bit intense or a little bit. Anything political or news is intense. Like I just try to do that even before I get out of the car. I try to do that for sure. There was one other point that I wanted to make about what else I was doing.
Being kind. I think you've been
Yes, and
that lately. Yeah.
being kind to myself and the compassionate question. When I know what's happening, I have to remember to identify what's happening. And I'm like, I'm safe. You're liked. People approve of you. You're capable. Nobody's setting you up. I have talking about the evidence-based stuff. When life was going hard, there was evidence of when it really was. And then if I cannot dysregulate, I can take the time to see what evidence shows me because my body's doing, like we talked about, doing what it wants to do. And so I have to make sure that what I'm actually doing is that what I'm responding to is actually happening. And I project paranoid fantasies and negative stuff. And so, yeah, that one helps a lot for me. Actually, I just picked up the book by that doctor, The Body Remembers.
Yep.
Yep, I just picked that one up.
Awesome. Yeah. It's a good one. Awesome. Okay. There are many practices we can do, many small, short, little, many practices that we can remember that when we're in an anxious state, if we remember these practices, that's what will come to our mind when we're trying to retrieve it. If we don't store it in memory, it's not going to be in your recall when you're in that reaction mode. So my recommendation is you memorize what these are, even your breaths, like for example, 3 slow breaths. That's different for everybody. How I take 3 slow breaths and how you take 3 slow breaths is going to be different. What's important is that you know what your 3 slow breaths are and you remember that. Name one emotion. Today we talked about overwhelmed. Name one emotion. Overwhelmed. I can even tell you why. Somebody canceled their teaching for today and put me in okay, I'm still figuring it out. 3, another one. Notice where it sits in your body. Where is it? Like, where are you feeling it? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your diaphragm? Is it in your chest, in your heart, in your neck? A lot of people, men and women, who feel stress in their neck, it's because they have the silent anger and they don't speak their voice. You want to relieve that stress? What do you got to figure out? how to have a voice, right? Another one, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What if I'm just frustrated? What if I'm sitting in with a client and I'm just frustrated and I don't even know why? Trying to be present in that moment and question it in that moment, which I usually do. It happens very fast for me now. What is this what is this emotion trying to tell me? And usually, like yesterday when I was a little frustrated with this dude who kept looping the same anxious thought and his anxiety. What I'm thinking of is I'm a little frustrated that we're going through this for the fifth time in the last hour. Can you please stop? Why? Because it starts to make me feel anxious, right? But even more importantly, what I realized in that moment with him is my mom turned 80 a month after he did. Yeah. And I'm in my head going, crap, I wonder if my mom's feeling any of these things. Now, she's a faith-based person. She knows where she's going, all that stuff. So I don't worry about it too much, but still, aren't we all going to go through this?
Yeah, we're going to face our own mortality.
We have to face our own mortality. So I was frustrated that it was making me think my dad's turning 80 in September. Dude, I know he's anxious. So I'm getting frustrated thinking of how this anxiety applies to my world. And I'm identifying that as I'm sitting there with this 80-year-old dude, right? But that's what I was doing. What is this emotion telling me, right? Why am I getting worked up right now? What do I need right now? We said that one. What do I need? What do I need? This is a big one too. Let the answer be simple. One of my favorite things to talk about is conflict resolution. And one of the first steps, actually, the first step is name the problem, but in a sentence or two. Otherwise, you're just using descriptors that are going to take us off on different paths, one or two sentences, so that I don't know, let's go 10-year-old could understand it. Somebody who doesn't know you could understand what you're talking about. Name it in a sentence or two. Boil it down to that point so anybody can understand it. I consider myself to be on the ADHD side of things. If it's not straight and to the point, I'm not going to register it. It's just going to go somewhere because I need the straight and to the point. Otherwise, I'm chasing little rabbits and squirrels trying to figure out where we're going and what we're doing. Just just say it. Just hit me with it in a sentence or two. We'll get to how you feel about it in conflict resolution. We'll get to the solutions. We'll get to compromise. But we got to be direct and straight and to the point in order to understand ourselves and in general to understand somebody else. And if they're using descriptors, it's hard to understand them. So let the answer be simple. Keep it simple, stupid. You probably aren't going to say this anymore, but it is the KISS principle and it still applies.
Just say keep it super simple. And we can change it a
There
bit.
we go. Keep it super simple. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Keep it super simple. Those are just some 5-minute practices that we can do anywhere we are. We can take these things with us. We don't have to have any supplies or fans or what. This is in your mind. And if you remember it, then part of the solution is when that anxious state comes, you recall, breathe. 3 slow breaths, breathe. What is this emotion trying to tell me? What do I need to know? How do I need something in this situation? And what is that? And you come to those spots and you'll recall it really fast and easy if you store it to your memory. So my favorite part, and we'll move on into this and then see if there's any further discussion and a couple questions I'm going to ask. So the meaning making, this is actually my favorite part of counseling. It always has been. I love to look at patterns, family patterns, right? I've written an emotional mapping that maps out behaviors. Nobody's ever mapped that way. Because I love looking at these family of origin behavioral patterns, how they affected us then, and what's happening currently as a result of those conditioned behaviors that we didn't even know we were getting, probably got them before we could even speak full sentences, that move on with us in our lives into every relationship after that. And this is not about blaming our parents for doing stupid stuff. If we've been parents, we've all made mistakes and we've all done good. So that's not what this is about. It is about understanding the patterns our parents didn't even know they were conditioning into us. What I like to say about that is the way they're anxious or the way they are depressed is conditioned into their children. So if my dad gets anxious and needs to go outside and do things to busy himself, to distract himself, guess what I learned? When I'm anxious, I don't want to sit. I want to go out and do something to distract myself. Those things are built right into us. The way my mom gets depressed, quiet, silent anger. She's trying to protect all of us from feeling worse than we may already feel in a situation. Guess what I get? She doesn't know. She didn't mean for that. It's not my parents' fault. But those conditioned behaviors made a difference on them and they make a difference on me. And if I can understand those patterns, how they represent me in my relationships right now, then I can make a new pattern. I can redirect certain parts of the pattern because I see the pattern. I can go, oh, maybe I don't want to go outside and busy myself and spray the yard and pick up dog poop and all that. Maybe I want to sit and name. Maybe I want to understand what I need in the moment. Maybe I need to connect some dots and go, what is it that's bugging me? Rather than going and distracting myself from what I'm anxious about.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know some of those things in order to understand our own anxious, depressed patterns. It's not about blaming, but there's a lot of meaning making in all of that, where we start looking at those old family patterns, how they manifest for me, controlling and manipulative person, right? My dad was very controlling, protective dad. He kept us close. He was a Navy vet. He is a Navy vet, I should say. He had 3 daughters. He wanted boys. He took his first daughter and she's a tomboy because he wanted to teach her how to fight. When we talk about fight, flight, freeze, my dad built fight into me and my sisters. Both all of us have the fight response because when we're 2, 3 years old, he's going, come here, you're going to hit me as hard as you can. Here's where you hit somebody, not me, but here's where you hit somebody if they're a threat to you. You hit them in the nose, you hit them in the throat, and run like hell. As a kid, we're hearing that kind of stuff. Why am I a fight? Why do I come out fisticuffs? It was built into me, conditioned before I could even talk. Those things are important. Then I go off and get married. How is that in a marriage? Wasn't real good in the first one.
So how do you differentiate like common practice of not common practice, but maybe like teaching people how to defend themselves, especially girls, and that is I feel like you should still know how to defend yourself physically, but then not making that the emotional part of it.
Absolutely. What I do, like when my people have been physically or sexually assaulted, and I actually haven't done this yet, except my badass bestie is a black belt kung fu person. And she's on my level talking about this kind of stuff. I was just telling people I feel very secure around her because she is like, she knows how to protect herself and other people. So when I meet people like the young ladies that come in and been assaulted or different things like that, I actually encourage them to go take a kung fu class, a karate class, a self-defense class. Actually, I want my friend to at some point, and she's taken tons of coaching certificates, but this is one that I want her to lead for women that need some self-defense, like just what to do. Because I'm sure it's helped me at points to be a fight, but it can also get me into trouble. Like my husbands don't like it when I'm ready to square off with a 6'2" black man that's hitting on me. Right? They're like, that's my job. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't even know it happened. It was built into me. There are built in family of origin tendencies, behaviors that we need to know and be able to name them now and make them mean something. We need to understand what it means to us in every relationship if we're going to reroute it.
And so with that, I've got an interesting observation.
Yeah.
And you were talking, we've studied some other modalities, I guess, the no bad parts.
Yes.
And it was interesting how when you were talking about inheriting family issues, anxieties, fears, and then I've recognized now that where the source of the origin was. But what was interesting too is that when I displayed the behaviors they manifested in me from the source, I was named. Not always flattering names, if you follow what I'm saying. Okay. Oh, you know how he is, or there's the scapegoat, there's that one, there's that one, there's that one. And so not only did I inherit the lack of regulation and to the trigger, but then I was given a derogatory title by the source. And we know what that's called. So but I'm sorry, I was just I'm listening to this and I'm like, and again, it's not in a blaming. I can only imagine what I did to my kids. And then it just relieves that and it allows the healing, at least for myself. When there's no, if I'm blaming, I'm not healing. And that's hard. That's hard for me, is to let go of the blaming and recognizing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of men, at least based on my clientele and my counseling, have been abandoned by their fathers. And that creates a whole nother pattern. It creates a whole nother pattern.
Do you want to share about that?
Right before I went in the Marine Corps, my dad flat out told me, once you're gone, you're not coming back. Don't expect me to ever be there for you. You got nothing. I'm not helpful. I said, okay. And anyway, it just, I swore from that moment on, my children will never feel that hurt. They will never feel that. And I think I've followed through fairly well and
Break a pattern.
and break a pattern. They're trying to break a bunch of patterns. Anyway,
Think if you don't mind, real quick, have you allowed yourself to feel that hurt?
I've been feeling numb. I mean, I've felt numb about it for a long time. My family is really screwed up.
Welcome to the club.
Something.
And honestly, about 8 years ago, I had a situation with immediate family and it hurt me. I mean, to the core. And I walked away and I haven't talked to any of them since. And since then, my grandmother's passed. My mom just died about a month and a half ago. And they had a family reunion type thing for her, for my mom. I didn't go. Anyway, I'm not trying and unless you knew my story, I could be here for an hour. Everybody has.
Oh yeah.
I'm being humble. It's life, but you know what? I'm not letting it destroy me. I got a beautiful family. I got a wonderful sister-in-law who I absolutely adore,
Mm.
and this side of the family has filled in the gaps
Mm.
to what I lost. So, I'm sure Shannon can go into way more detail. That would make more sense.
That's the solution. That's how that's how you reconcile some of your anxiety of having the difficult family patterns, the addiction, the abuses. When you can be with a family and feel safe, secure, that's the solution.
Yeah.
That covers a multitude of family of origin stress.
Well, see, your parents gave me something that no one else in my family were able to give me, and that's unconditional love. My family, the Grant family, Ulysses S. Grant, they're related to that, and my grandfather not so much. I really had a closer relationship with him, but anyway, all the others are very narcissistic. That's as far as I'll go.
Yeah. And that family pattern, the narcissistic family pattern, that's control manipulation. So you have your gaslighting, you have stonewalling. And those patterns affect every relationship thereafter. And like my friend Brian was talking about, my brother-in-law is in the same role. He was the scapegoat. He was the one, all these people are doing these rejections and abuses and blaming him for it.
Yes.
Calling him out for those things. So it does. It affects your marriage, it affects your relationship with your kids. And if we don't talk about it, we don't know what it is, and we keep doing the same stuff, just a different day.
Ultimately, it comes down to you. You're the one. I mean, we as individuals are the cycle breakers.
Yes, we are the cycle breakers.
And
We are the cycle breakers.
And that's the thing, is coming up with a decision to say, I'm going to be better, and I'm going to make my family feel safe.
Yes. And that becomes easier in the meaning making part if we can see what it is.
Yeah.
And make sense of it now and how it affects us now. Then we can get to the meaning making where we understand that the thing that's helped me the most from my abusive family is to be with a family who loves, who talks, even if it's hard.
Right.
We have the same stuff. My definition of families, of healthy families, is a real simple definition. Whether you come from a really hard family or not is not what makes the difference. What makes the difference, healthy families talk. They don't brush things under the rug and avoid things. They talk. They talk through it. That was modeled to us our whole lives because like some of your stories, these guys with these hard stories, my dad had a hard story. And he was breaking patterns of physical abuse.
I would agree with
and he did things completely differently with his daughters. He was that person who was redirecting his abuse because he did not want to be abusive to his wife and his children. I can assure you, I haven't asked directly, but I can assure you he failed at times because of where he had been.
Well, there's been years where your dad and I have gone round and round and round, but to the point where we love each other. I mean, I walk up to him now and he just starts bawling. I mean, I don't know. It's taken a lot of. I'm frivolously talking. I'm talking family now, but unless you've been around and understand like we all, I mean,
That's fine.
I mean, he wanted a son, right? He's got a son.
Yeah, he's always told me, he goes, I'm glad I didn't have one because I know I would have been too hard on him. And I think he would have. I mean,
You
I
would.
feel uncomfortable. It's quite a fan.
That's okay. I don't have to record everything all the time.
Making. Okay. So the meaning making. That's my point of going into family of origin, understanding what those patterns are, being able to name the full pattern, not just the emotion. Being able to name the full pattern will help you make meaning on how it's affecting you in your life now. And then you can consciously decide what you want to do with that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep the pattern. Some people choose to continue in those patterns.
Do
Or
what you know, right?
Yeah. Or you can make a decision to redirect the pattern at certain points, maybe all of it, maybe some of it. But we have to get the meaning making on there in order to reconcile some of these long-term anxieties. So emotional regulation, it's not about being stronger. How many people do I hear sit in my office and say, I just want to be stronger. I feel so weak. I can't get out of the thinking cycle. So many people sit in my office and are self-critical, the way I am, if I'm going to be honest, about themselves, and they're directing it towards themselves. It's not about being stronger, guys. It's about being connected. It's about being connected to yourself, your body, and your mind, and know what's going on. It's about co-regulation and being able to help somebody carry just by grounding them, just by being present, just by providing them a safe place. Your community, that's why we're here. This is my attempt to build community where we talk about this stuff. Still trying to get people to show up, and we'll figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
It's been a great community for me. I have met one of my favorite people in the world now from doing these workshops, Miss Amanda. I have been blessed to know her. She's a loving lady. I wouldn't have that if it weren't for this community. It has benefited me. So I guess if nothing else, I got some good out of it. Let's just go through just a couple of questions. Can anybody give me a time and tell me?
We're at 1 hour and 24 minutes, and it is 3:44.
Okay, let's just do one question just to bring it home. So,
And if you don't want to be recorded, please just tell me. I don't have to record everything all the time.
Yep, and we can edit it out if you don't. Yep. One question. What helps you come back to yourself? And what part of emotional, I guess I'm doing two questions. Let's do two. What helps you come back to yourself when you're in an anxious state? And two, what is the hardest part of emotional regulation for you? We just named 4 steps. I went through the ones that helped me come back to my body, and it's in those mini practices. 3 slow breaths. Name one emotion. Notice where it sits in the body. Ask yourself the question, what is the emotion trying to tell me? What do I need to do right now? Those are some of the things I do to come back and be present with myself. I always will put 2 feet on the ground and sit up straight and stretch my back a little bit, maybe relax my shoulders. Those are things I do to come back. The hardest part for me is stopping my thinking. It continues to go even when I'm sleeping, when I am overwhelmed and stressed. That is the hardest part.
So for me, it's the taking a deep breath. I know it's highly effective for me to like stop and take a deep breath, multiple breaths, and do the growl that you do. Like that guttural, like get it all out there. But when I'm in an office, taking a big deep breath and then giving out like a good old growl, maybe not going to work so well. But even if I did it quietly, sometimes I feel like with my new job, do I even have time to take 30 seconds to do this, or a minute, because I'm getting ping, 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 pinged on, requests for things and there's time, somebody's waiting for something. So it's like this concept of, I don't know, it takes 1 minute. Do I have 1 minute? Like that's difficult. Um, and I think it's wisdom with age of I am no longer a young professional. I am a middle-aged professional. And you know what? If you want me to work here, if you don't want me to quit, and I know I can do a good job, I need that time.
I like that.
That's it. And that's really what it's come down to is I'm taking my 2 15-minute breaks and I'm taking my 30-minute lunch, even if I'm salaried. I'm doing it because I need this in order for me not to burn out so that I don't quit. That's
Love that.
yeah. That's been the balance. What's been the
That's also a self-care.
oh yeah.
Where you're
Yeah.
thinking of taking care of yourself in those.
Yes. And when I took a salaried position, I was not taking a salaried position to work 60 hours a week and not get paid for 60 hours a week. And that has not happened yet, but I am still taking those breaks and I'm still stepping away when I need to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You see too many people get into that trap.
I think for me, I like you would struggle with there's turning it off. So when I am in bed, my brain just goes and goes. But I think I would struggle. I think I struggle a little bit sometimes with if I have more than one thing, one emotion impacting me. So maybe I'm feeling with recent events that have happened in our lives with losing a friend, I was angry. I was sad. I was disappointed. Like I had so many different feelings that it was hard in the moment to name them. And so, and that's not typical, but I think it might have, like, just for you guys to know, we had a best friend commit suicide. So when you were talking about that, you have such strange emotions that are triggered with that.
I think that's normal.
Yeah, I think it is too. But when when we first experienced it, it was like just this overwhelming, like, what am I even feeling? And realizing in hindsight, a month later, I was feeling more than one thing. I still am feeling more than one thing. For me, I think I did a coaching session with Coach Kim a few months ago. And one of the things that she really helped me with, I've shared that with my sister, is just the grounding myself. And so I catch myself putting my hand on my heart, and it helps hugely. And then I'm very, very fortunate because I have him and he does the hug. And as soon as he does that, I can feel the release. And so I'm grateful for that.
That's good.
Thank you for sharing.
Your emotions are not problems to solve. They are signals that I like the book my buddy just bought talks about them. They are alerts. They signal you to a problem. Something is going on. They're great alerts if you will stop and listen and name and utilize the steps we're talking about, the 4-step process. They are great alerts when we feel the differing, especially in grief, when we're feeling all the things of grief, which encompasses so many emotions. Like I tell people when they're grieving a loved one, you got to ask, why am I angry? Why am I angry? Why am I sad about this? Why am I confused? Why am I overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Where's my frustration coming from? You have to know what that is in order to reconcile the grief enough so you can carry it. It doesn't go away. You will have to continue to learn how to carry it because you understand it, you're aware of it, you can name it, you've got some acceptance around it. Now it's manageable. Now we can carry it. We have to go through the process to reconcile.
We were talking about like your client who was going through all of this. because my dad is the exact same age, 1 year younger. And I've realized that he's going through the grief process, the actual stages of grief for facing his own mortality. And it's anger, frustration, loss of control, confusion, all of the things. But it all comes back to stages of grief based on grief of loss of stages of death.
Yes,
But ahead of time
absolutely.
for themselves.
Absolutely.
And that's been very enlightening. Yeah.
Grief is a booger, and we can find it almost anywhere. Like we had a grief one where if you lose a job, now you're going to grieve a certain work identity, right? And you have to go through all the feels to grieve it. If you have a falling out with a friend, you're going to go through grief staging. There's many things that bring on grief, and the older we get, those little identity shifts, which I think happen when we're looking at death, like, what does this mean to me? How is this going to change me? I think still has a lot of the death grief still has a lot of, I need to be able to shift my identity and understand that. Grief is in almost all of this, all of our situations. And if we can process through the many emotions that come up and understand why the anger, why the overwhelm, why the sadness, why the confusion, right? Anger, it is very common. Suicide comes with complicated grief. And why it comes with complicated grief is because the anger factor. If your parents died because they have cancer or something like that, the anger would be a little different maybe at the cancer, right? But when you have a loved one that commits suicide, it is accompanied by a real big anger that is, what the fuck, man? Seriously? At least with the clients that I've had that have done this, that has been the hardest part for me. Is first I'm angry at them going, I was here. I thought we had an understanding. And then the anger comes at me going, you weren't enough. You weren't there. Right? There's a lot to process in anger of somebody who commits suicide. It is a very complicated anger process. And it's hard to talk about. It's hard to talk about. So your emotions aren't the problem. They're signals. They're pointing you in a direction to solve. You deserve support. Everybody does. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm setting up a community. You deserve gentleness, understanding, somebody to know and to be able to just ground you and be present with you. You deserve space to breathe. We've done that a few times today. We all deserve that. Taking the time, taking the breaks to breathe. And you don't have to walk through it alone. You don't have to walk through it alone. That's why we're here in this community. That's why I'm happy to have the hard conversations and to throw out these difficult topics, because I truly do believe that it'll reduce your anxious states by 30 to 40% if you sit here and talk it out and learn how to name it, learn how to ground your body, go through the steps. That's why we're here. So you don't have to walk it alone. You can walk it with each other. We can walk it together. We can shoulder to shoulder. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your participation and for your patience with the different way we did this today.